challenged the international team on their own terrain by exposing the methodology and demonstrating that the resulting data were irrelevant. He opened his campaign with the book that first brought him to our attention, Maccabees, Zadokites, Christians and Qumran, published by E.J. Brill in Holland in 1983. In this book, he posed the first serious challenge the international team had yet encountered to their archaeology and paleography. In his introduction, he explicitly flung down the gauntlet to the small group of specialists largely working together who had developed a consensus given the text's limited audience and circulation. Of course, the international team could simply ignore the challenge. Indeed, the likelihood is that none of them read it at the time, in all probability dismissing it as a piece of ephemera by an upstart novice. Eisenman, however, refused to let his effort be consigned to oblivion. By 1985, his second book, James the Just in the Habakkuk Pesha, had appeared in Italy, ironically under the imprint of one of the Vatican presses, Typographia Gregorian. It carried an Italian preface, and the next year, with some additions and a revised appendix, was brought out by E.J. Brill. That same year, Eisenman was appointed Fellow in Residence at the prestigious Albright Institute in Jerusalem. Here he began working behind the scenes to acquaint the Israeli government with the situation and raise the scrolls of their agenda of priorities. The international team's strange stranglehold, he realized, could not be broken solely through decorous or even strident protest in learned journals. It would be necessary to bring external pressure to bear, preferably from above. Accordingly, Eisenman met and briefed Professor Naiman, and Naiman then forced the issue in the Knesset. Later that year, Eisenman himself approached Father Benoit and verbally requested access to the scrolls. Predictably enough, Benoit politely refused, adroitly suggesting that Eisenman should ask the Israeli authorities, and implying that the decision was not his to make. At this point, Eisenman was still unaware of the stratagems employed by the international team to thwart all applicants who wanted access to the scrolls. He was not, however, prepared to be excluded so easily. All scholars during their tenure on the staff of the Albright Institute gave one lecture to the general public. Eisenman's lecture was scheduled for February 1986, and he chose as his subject the Jerusalem community at Qumran. with the provocative subtitle Problems in Archaeology, Paleography, History and Chronology, as in the case of his book on James. The title itself was calculated to strike a nerve in